Hello, hello, we're back. It's me, Aiden Zokama again, and I'm joined with our glorious tournament organizer and why we're all here, Alex. And
Hey
Sol.
everybody, thanks so much for watching the stream. Really excited to see a game here with No Ganks Botlane versus Team Brothers. We have a new champion today after this best of three, so who do you got in this one, Zoko?
Honestly, it's hard. They've both been enjoyable to watch, and I've at least seen like a couple games of both of them.
Now, this is a repeat matchup. I believe in the third round, No Ganks Botlane got the better of Team Brothers, so they are at a little bit of an edge just kind of off that game, but it'll be interesting to see if they actually can keep that going or if that was a fluke.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, No Ganks Botlane, a little bit of recency bias because that last game was a complete stomp by them. That was honestly really just took complete hold of that game, and they just were unbeatable in that front.
Yeah, that was definitely a stomp, but I definitely like the bands that they're doing here. I feel like that Riven band is a really good respect band for Team Brothers. They have some solid Riven players, I believe it's.
Yeah, it always feels like you see, like, top and mid are the two roles you always see that, like, personal band in. We would see it back with the Poland 3 and Pega. That Kindred band was always, like, a very personal one where, like, that one went through, the game was over.
Yeah, there's some history there, and these teams I don't think really have the that same history, so it'll just be interesting to see, you know, they really only have that one game to go off of. And a Zed first pick, that is incredibly confident.
And what would be exciting is if then we see a return of Pega and Colon 3, and then see how they go against No Ganks Botlane, and see maybe if there's maybe the new king, or we have the return of a king.
Yeah, honestly, that would be
exciting.
really cool to see, you know, just kind of in their absence, see what teams do and see if they can kind of keep that up when they come back. Because I do assume that they will be back in the future there.
Next Lakewood get a, you know, one of those like history presentations that they do for the worlds and be like
make a little
gone
history
in the third
video.
one. They left room for a new king to show up, and now they're back to take back rightful throne.
It'll be really interesting, and honestly, part of me would love to see No Ganks Botlane get there just because they're a high school team. I think it's really cool to just see a high school team show up today. Yeah, this is No Ganks Botlane is a lot of the team from the Cherry Creek High School that is participating in JASA, and I believe they have like maybe one or two alumni. So it's most of the main roster there, and then some students that have graduated. So this might be the lineup that won JASA.
I didn't quite get the research on them. What was their rank spread?
I don't remember exactly what all their ranks were, but I think they were maybe 6th or 7th seed. So to see them show
that's
up
a massive
all the way
upset.
in first, I mean, they have.
That's just some synergy then.
They definitely have some synergy. It does seem like they're kind of a better than the sum of their parts team, so you love to see that. Definitely a really interesting spread of champs here. The Zed and Mordekaiser in the first rotation, saving jungle and support is kind of an interesting idea from No Ganks Botlane, not draft.
It's very interesting too, because if they do pull this out, that kind of showing that like, hey, all these old bags playing this game gotta move over, because it's the young ones that are gonna be the ones that are doing everything.
Exactly. I mean, if anyone's gonna do it, these are the youngest hands in the building, probably still in the tournament. So it'll be cool to see. What do you think about this team comp with Aurelia, Sedge, and Jax? I feel like that. I mean, it's a good front line, but if something like a Renata gets picked here, it seems like they're gonna have a really tough time playing out the mid game.
I know they're afraid of the Enchanters with what they've done because they banned the Lulu Milio, but they did leave Renata open, which is interesting.
Definitely an interesting. I mean, it seems like.
Because I feel like, honestly, if I were them, I would have taken Milio and handshook the Renata, because Milio's a good answer into that.
Yeah, I think they might just be afraid of the Zeri. I mean, I see a Zeri picked. I definitely wouldn't want it to be paired with the Lulu or Milio as well. So. Yeah.
I mean, if you can get some kind of point knocked down, like Nautilus still free, maybe that's what they're looking for.
Papa would be proud.
But I mean, they do have a really strong that top side pressure with Sedge, Jax, or Aurelia. Like, you are going to insta-proc Sejuani passive, so
that's true.
They can have a lot of strength with that. So if they do get any kind of hit onto the Zeri, she will disappear. But if she's able to, you know, be in that R for a little bit and just keep going, she'll be ramped up really fast, which is really hard to catch.
Definitely a boat and top side, but I wonder if No Ganks Botlane has a plan here. They locked in that Kayn and Rakan really quickly. Definitely seems like they were excited to be getting those picks, so.
Red Kayn with the Mordekaiser is pretty good bruiser busting, and Team Brothers is very tanky with this comp.
Yeah, I honestly feel like they maybe lack a little bit of damage with that comp.
Yeah, I feel like it's really awkward with that Ziggs there, because like he is turret damage, but like nothing else in this comp screams like sieging. Everything's melee and quote-unquote honest, so...
So we're doing a Ziggs APC here, it looks like, with maybe the Relia mid. They didn't pick an AD, that's an an interesting comp.
Yeah, it's most likely Ziggs APC, unless it's some funny melee bruiser bot lane, but...
How do you think Ziggs is in Deseri as a bot lane?
I think it's miserable. You have to land narrow skill shots on a human lightning bolt.
Yeah, that definitely is an odd thing to pick in, and even the Alistar seems like it's not super good in Deseri, who can just kind of jump away.
Definitely I would have prioritized the Nautilus there.
Interesting comps.
Actually, no, it was banned. Sorry, sure. Nautilus was banned, so they couldn't prioritize it. So that was a good catch by No Ganks Botlane. I honestly think No Ganks Botlane, their drafts have been pretty decent, I think, the whole way. I think that, I don't know if they have a coach or something, but they do have a pretty good, I think, understanding of what could be problematic for them in these drafts.
Yeah, honestly, I think that they just do their drafting as a team, so it's really impressive if that is the case, that they are able to, play so well together and execute kind of above what maybe their seed looked like, but also are able to do the drafting by themselves, because there's a lot of games we've seen today that just a bad draft was all it took to make a game pretty unwinnable. So
yeah, and it's really dangerous when you're in like one game matchups in the Swiss bracket, because you only have that one game to play, and if you draft something bad, like you don't get a rebound off that.
Looks like the last game that these teams played, we had Yone for the No Ganks bot lane, so that was really interesting. Looks like we get the Jax again here. Last time that was Uzumaki, so assuming he's still playing that, but kind of a similar comp from these teams. It doesn't look like their bans were too different. Had the Riven, Cassante, Aurelia coming out as far as bans from No Gank bot lane, and as well as that Maokai. So it looks like they're just kind of running it back. They won the last game, they're just going to keep it the same. On the other side, last time they had first banned Zed than the Team Brothers did, so to let that go through is interesting. I'm curious why they're not afraid of that anymore, and maybe what they're more afraid of now.
Yeah, I feel like the triple melee does kind of like jail the Zed to kind of be a little more on the less useful side this game.
That makes sense.
Just because his damage output's gonna be a little low, but again, like we've seen Zeds build full Bruiser, Black Cleaver Shred, and do just fine into tanks before.
Yeah, no,
but
really,
it's definitely going to make him... You're going to see a lot more, I think, of a passive Zed gameplay this game. He's not going to be as active playmaker, but I think he just plays that chip in, gets the burst out, plays that, kill confirm on the low targets, and you'll see Mordekaiser and Zeri and Kayn kind of being the full anti-tank. Zeri, I think if she's left alone long enough, can just kind of outplay most of these characters, because not many of them can easily lock her down. There's only one point and click on their team. They do have like the Aurelia dash and the Jax dash, but Zeri just go over a wall, and it's...
Although they don't have a ton of peel for Zeri outside of just kind of Rakan and like maybe a Mortal, so...
I mean, Mortal would jail one of them in the Rakan. I mean, if you get the Aurelia dash on, it's really easy to kind of line up that W or even an R and get the Zeri out. So the only concern is if Aurelia gets on, and then after that peel, someone else manages to get on. But I think that's up to Railgun to see if they are able to, just play that kiting really well, because I think it's hard on the Brother side to keep that Zeri locked down with how this draft played out.
They're gonna have to one-shot her. If they get on the Zeri, they're gonna need to kill her immediately, or they're not gonna get another chance to do that. And
yeah, they just have to get that locked in. They land at CC. That Ziggs bomb has to be like instant.
Yeah, immediately. I mean, I kind of worry about this Zed in the mid game. Like after you push out and you get to 10-15 minutes, he wants to go split, and who's he gonna split against? Aurelia and Jax? I mean, that doesn't really seem like a great...
We may see the return of a Ravenous Zed where he just clears waves and disappears, because he can play that way pretty well. That's why we might see a more passive Zed this game if they kind of analyze that kind of win con. Because you will get like that tank shred from, Kayn and Mordekaiser. They're going to be very beefy. They're going to be very tanky. And doing both of them is going to be, I think, kind of hard because they don't have any good tank cut. I think Aurelia and Jax can, hit up tank pretty hard. But they're going to have to be doing so much, and just the constant threat of both Mordekaiser hitting you, passive, Kayn's Q just doing your max health, and then Zeri also stacking the whole time. It's like, you have to be very decisive in how you execute these fights, because anything left alone too long is just going to become too big of a problem.
So would you say that you would think that really Team Brothers is trying to win like early to mid game, and that No Ganks bot lane kind of has it with the Zeri in the later points?
I think No Ganks has some of the scaling. I mean, Aurelia and Jax do have pretty good scaling, respectively.
I mean, of course, Jax. Yeah, Jax is going to be a great scaler.
But it's also like, if the game's a bit too neutral, I feel like Zeri just becomes like really hard to lock down, and if she starts actually cutting through people really fast, it's going to be really, really hard for Team Brothers to do much, and they might have to force some splits, see if they can pull people apart. But you just have the map move from Kayn and Zed, and if they're able to get things out, it becomes a little difficult, I feel.
Yeah, it just seems like, I guess I would have loved to see the Kayn maybe be a little bit different, maybe give a little bit more frontline to this area. Looks like Kane, the Kane
Probably
player
a red
here.
Kane, so it still is a decent amount
That's
of front
true.
line. It's like a budget
That's true.
Aatrox, so.
A budget Aatrox, yeah. And it looks like their Diana got banned from the last game that these teams played against each other, and they did pretty well in that one. So hopefully they're not feeling like they're put too far off of their main pick on this.
Yeah, I don't really know
Kane,
what
so we'll
jungler
see.
I prefer over. Like, I could maybe see like a J4 angle, just because you can use his Cataclysm to jail someone that tries to engage. Dashes down.
What do you think about Volley Bear as a jungle here? I feel like Volley is really
Volley
strong
maybe
in the meta.
wouldn't be awful either, but I mean, after seeing the Alistar and
that's
Ziggs
true.
picked, I wouldn't want it, but they would have picked it way earlier.
Yeah, definitely easier to look back 2020 vision, looking back at what they picked. But a lot of Alistars today here. We did see a Sejuani support, so that was interesting. But back in the jungle this time.
Rakan has Spencer has some issues about their mouse right now, so.
Yeah, might end up having a pause, but hopefully if we do, we can get that taken care of pretty quickly.
Would you
That's a-
see lethal tempo from the Jax and the Conquer from Irelia? Pretty standard. I don't actually know for the tank matchups if lethal or Conquer is better for Jax. I know it's a bit better for the early game, but even with those early game nerfs that lethal has, I wonder if Conquer is just better because you get that safer scaling so that you can, side lane easier against this Mord if it comes down to it.
Yeah. As a top laner, which side of this matchup would you rather be in, the Jax or the Mordekaiser?
One's always a hard one because I feel like they both just have like key points in the game where one just beats the other.
Okay, so where the early game is probably going to the Mord, you would say the Jax is going to take it late?
It's
or?
like the first two levels I prefer Jax, then the third level I prefer Mord, then like 4 to 5 I prefer Jax again, then like 6 I prefer Mord. And then
It'll be
like
interesting to see if they can.
and then like 11 to 16 I prefer Jax again.
Yeah, see if they can use any of those windows where kind of the power is sliding back and forth to get a kill.
Yeah, I don't think any of these are like hard losing either because Jax can stall Mordekaiser's passive proc with his dodge, and then vice versa, as Mordekaiser can proc his passive, which ignores dodge once he gets it up. So it's a mix and mix. He's a lot of damage in his abilities, which Jax doesn't like to fight.
Yeah. The more I think about it, I kind of like this Ziggs pick because I feel like the rest of that Brothers comp is very feast or famine. I like Jax with the Sedge and Arel. They have to just win 2v2 skirmishes, but with the Ziggs, you can kind of play this like late game, insurance package. Like if you just get destroyed early, no worries, you can just clear waves late and try to get back into it. So
Well, I think that's some of the safety too, and you can see something like Seraphine do a similar role, but I think the Ziggs as well, just because there is going to be probably very minimal peel this game. Everything on his team looks to go in. He can kind of just R from a safe distance and then just kind of hang out because he plays from such a long range that he doesn't have to worry too much about being engaged on. And when he gets a stopwatch, it's going to be hard for Zed to go for that solo pick without eventually getting turned on. You see, this might be an all-in from the
this
Jax
is
here.
looking
Mordekaiser's a
aggressive.
bit up. There is the wave, but there's the
Double
flash, the
flash.
lethal tempo, and that is the first blood over to
man.
the Jax. That's what I was saying about the level 2.
Oh, and the immediate aggression from the Aurelia. Wow, that was impressive. And he flashes out, just barely did not get the Zed there. That would have been really a rough start for the solo laners of the blue side here. So really good thing that Zed got out. Surprised he's staying with TP up, but I guess he's just going to clear the wave and come back. Looks like Aurelia is just TPing back after that. Be interesting to see if Kane can potentially do something while the flash is down there, and same for Sedge top. She might be able to come gank the top, and it looks like she's already there, waiting in the wings to see if she can get the board, who's flashless right now. 1v1.
Yeah, and if they're able to get that gang up on board now, it's going to be really devastating for the top side just because that's a TP burn already. They're going to lose something. But it seems that they're going over for the scuttle fight instead, which they
Yeah.
do have advantage on because Zed is not quite back yet.
That is not quite back yet, and it looks like Jax maybe has a little bit of prio, although he is 75% health. Looks like Alistar is going in for an engage here. Definitely gets the knockback, but that's not going to be an easy 2v2. Especially when Ziggs is out of mana like that, it's going to be a rough fight, but decent trade.
It does look like the Kane did win that scuttle fight too. He got the level 4, and Sejuani did have to back off. I'm surprised there wasn't like a 3-man collapse from the Jax earlier, but Jax is low on resources because he's kind of been in his lane the whole time. But he will be able to, get that back, maybe get a TP and jail his Mordekaiser in lane for a bit.
Zed matchup it seems very rough into the Aurelia. I wonder if that is what they expected to play this into, because it just doesn't seem like it's going to scale past Aurelia, and so far in lane, Aurelia just has full control. I mean, she can just dive in and start a fight whenever she feels like it.
It's really hard for a lot of the ability-based mid laners to fight really early just because she does beat you so hard on autos, and that just level 1 is really strong with her 4-stack passive. But in like once Zed gets his, I think if he's rushed the team out, he'll be in a lot more comfortable spot because he might not be beating her, but he won't be dying to her.
Really like this look for a gank here by Frankie. That's a great timing. He just went straight from base. That was really smart. This is going to be tough. That Jack's already getting an early kill.
We do see the triple in early, but she does tank it all with W. Ooh, and then that's the counter engage. And we see the Zed go down immediately. We see the Sejuani passive being procced by the Aurelia Alistar. Kane is forced the flash.
That was a great flash to get out of there. That was looking... was going to go bad for worse, so thank goodness he was able to stop the bleeding there, because that would have been tough.
You know, it's very difficult because with like the top, mid, and jungle, they're all very... Wow. We do see they're really going for the dive.
The 2v1
it's a little
dive,
crazy.
That was not exactly recommended there. Kind of just gives back the kill that they earned, but during that, they were able to go take some grubs. So I guess in the end, not the worst thing. Still a net positive, but a little bit of an unforced error there, I would say.
I'd say it was kind of like an ego tempo thing because it does kind of jail Kane to stay on this mid lane so he can't look for any kind of steal on the grubs.
Yeah.
But even still, I think it was a little bit of an ego check, and I think diving Rakan's one of the harder things to do in this game just because that CC, that lockdown, and his kiting he has, especially with an ally, it's hard to stay on him and stay on who he's protecting.
I think Alistar is just doing a really great job getting these roams right now, just recognizing that Azeri is not going to be able to kill the Ziggs if they both leave, and that they can both just farm their lane pretty easily. It's great, and he was able to be at the mid when they needed him. He was able to help secure the grubs there, and he might be able to help keep this dragon from going down. It looks like he might be checking it.
I do see Zeri with the shove and double summon, so the spike could be a little dicey because outside of Alistar knockup, that's really the only lockdown they have for her.
Alistar is getting engaged on early. He doesn't have ult. He's only level 4. Luckily, the bot is able to come up, and the mid can come down. They actually might get a pinch here. It was looking pretty rough for Brothers, but in the end, if we can get an Alistar engaged. Nope. All right. Well, hey, they were able to get him off the dragon. Can they get the steal? No. Wow, so just a nice little thanks to the leash there from Brothers, just taking that dragon after almost all of it was taken from the other team.
Definitely No Ganks Botlane kind of having a little bit of short on this early game. I think there's just a lot of, hands checks going on right now by Brothers going on right now. They just know their characters are better early, and they're just taking these aggressive fights and just getting the advantage. And we do see the Alistar engage and the Ziggs ult coming out, leading the Rakan.
Well played.
Then going out on the Zeri.
Very well
is forced to ghost. May need to flash here as they try to cut out and get a little bit more damage off in the end.
Looks like Zeri's going to slide away there, but that was almost a double kill. That was actually really, really impressive, and now seeing kind of the way they play this, the Ziggs does make more sense. It's really tough for... Oh my gosh.
Gets poked under the turret. That is unfortunate.
Oh, that is unfortunate. Railgun going to be missing a wave or two here from that. A little greedy, just a little greedy, walking up, kind of the standard ADC play. Can't give up a wave, Gotta get the wave.
Gotta get all the waves, gotta get the cannon. Yeah, I will say a little bit of the difficulty in No Ganks Bot is just like all of their lanes need a little time to come online. So like all these early levels are just really difficult for them to do, and I think them fighting a lot of it's a bit of the problem because they just can't. Like Zeri takes a bit to come online. Zed in this matchup's not quite as prevalent in the early game. Kane needs to get form, and Mordekaiser doesn't win his matchup as much until the mid game. So it's a little bit like these fights just a little too often, and you can't get Kane to outpressure the Sejuani. We'll see another gank going off on the Mordekaiser. That's 3 out of Jax. I don't think Mord's going to get stronger in this Jax at any soon point in this game.
That is very tough. I mean, I really think for this comp, to keep Brothers out of this, you just had to keep the Jax and the Aurelia in a manageable place that Zeri could deal with them later. But if Jax gets too big here, even just a little bit bigger, he probably is going to be able to 2v1 split push the whole game, and it's just such a hard position to be in when your team can't match the 1-for-1.
But we'll see the Rakan Grand Entrance whiff on the Alistar bit there, so it's just kind of a strong trade over to the Rakan. It's surprising because Zeri's the one being engaged on, but Rakan's losing all his health in the process of healing, right?
Yeah, that was pretty rough there. I mean, it just seems like Brothers is in such a commanding place of this game. They're really going to be able to dictate the pace. I mean, we're only 9 minutes in here, and they're already 3,000 gold ahead. It really needs to stop the bleeding somehow.
You see the engage on the Aurelia. She sits in the W type, but she does before the Zed proc goes off the Death Mark.
Wow.
She does get out the Zed, but Kane does get the kill. So it is a 1-for-1, but Zed does lose a wave into the turret. I feel like it's just a miserable game for that first pick Zed. They just fully capitalize on the fact that they just locked in that assassin beginning. And we're like, we're just not going to pick anything that you can burst.
Yeah, I mean, that is just very tough. I feel like Brothers is a team that really has some incredible 1v1 laners with Uzumaki and Besaid here. The Riven, the Jax, the Aurelia, these are picks that they're very comfortable on. I think Akali is one that they might have in the back pocket as well. Just both solo laners, just very aggressive play here, and it looks like it's catching No Ganks a little bit off guard how aggressive Brothers is being.
Yeah, it's surprising seeing grand finals. Like, this is, I think, the game I've seen the most just solo fights happen in general.
In the past, I mean, past grand finals have been sometimes a little bit more of a dry affair. With Colin and Pepegadags, they've usually play a little bit more of a slow game against each other when we've seen these finals in the past. So to see such a aggressive game from Brothers is really exciting.
But yeah, and just see that Aurelia just dash on, gets that stun, just Zed chunked out. It feels so miserable.
That's probably.
It looks like he's opting for the Eclipse, but I feel like he might just want some wave clear going. And
that's a good idea.
Hashtag Brothers win in the chat going on right now.
We got the brother support. Oh man, Uzumaki is really just running away with this lead now that he has it. A couple of Sejuani ganks, and he is going to be just a monster. It looks like he doesn't even need our help anymore to take over the top side of this map.
Yeah, and there's kind of no answer, like nothing else looking strong. And with those 6 grubs on the Ziggs comp with these split pushes, that like those turrets are just going to fall like crazy come in the later game.
Yeah, I'm not honestly really sure what you would do as No Ganks here to try to bring this back. I don't want to say it's unwinnable, but it's definitely a tough game state that they're going to need to slow down and focus on the 5v5. I think Brothers comp is just really a good scrappy comp. It's great for these skirmishes, and you can't just keep fighting them in 2v2s that they're going to be at an advantage in.
Yeah, no, I definitely felt like Zed would have been their early game, keep them in, but it's just so hard with the Aurelia just being so much stronger in the early game.
Yeah.
That you just kind of like, well, I can't hold us in the game, and all these other lanes just won't have the power to fight these things. Ziggs is just too safe, and the Alistar just tanks so much damage in the early game, and Zeri doesn't do much damage early. That, you don't really trade much back. You can't threaten the tank for going into these engages, and you can't really get on the Ziggs either, because even with the Recon engage, you just don't do enough damage to Ziggs to take them out.
Yeah, I mean, worst case, you get on Ziggs, and then Brothers just killed everyone. I mean, I feel like their damage is so high.
See the dive go off from the Aurelia? She perfectly times on the Zed knockup, but the Deathmark doesn't take him down. As we see this running, engaging on the Recon Zeri, we see the shot come out. This is kind of a fight that you want to see from No Ganks bot lane. They go for the engage. They're trying to pick out the Ziggs. Ziggs almost falls, does fall.
He does get the
fall to the
shutdown.
Kane. And now we have a high stack Zeri. You should be able to cut out this Sejuani with the Kane peel.
Wow.
Ooh, another pick onto the Zeri. That is a good fight for them.
That was a great fight. Only thing I could see to make it better is it would have been really great there if Zeri got that shutdown. But either way, I think it's definitely really great to get that. Rakan with an amazing counter engage there. I mean, to flash forward there with that little health and squishy as he has been in some of these fights, he did a great job.
We do see Uzumaki TPing to contest Kane on this dragon, though. We can see if Kane can maybe get out in time. Maybe can use a W to stall.
Kane does have smite.
They do manage to get it, but they will fall to the Jax for that. But that does give, buying a dragon buys 5 more minutes before a soul is in play.
Honestly think that might have been very worth it. A lot of times we play scaling comps and we just don't get the dragons early, and it makes it very difficult to just actually try to scale when you're put on such a short timer. So that's pretty huge to get that extra 5 minutes, and first dragon at 13, it gives them a lot of time before they hit soul.
And you may luck out to have a bad soul, but then if they get the Elder still so soon, it's like, it just really puts an end to your game.
That CC on Zeri was pretty gross with the dive in, able to knock Zeri back and then get the stun from Alistar into the Ziggs ult. Really not a ton you can do as Zeri there. Definitely starting to see the power of the Ziggs with Alistar. It's didn't see it exactly the synergy at the beginning, but
I'm also being reminded why I permaban Aurelia when I play top lane.
Yeah, and another engage, stifled or go in here just by Sejuani, just being at the right place at the right time. Sejuani, I feel like, maybe the score doesn't show it, but they have been doing a great job shadowing and being just kind of in the mid and top when the fights go out.
Yeah, just a deterrent really for anything that No Ganks Botlane wants to do to get some tempo back into the game.
And really, when your lanes are winning, that's all you need to do as a jungler. You don't need to force anything. Your lanes are already in a great spot. I mean, look at top and mid here, both up a lot of CS. Definitely going to be hitting their items a lot sooner than the Zed and Mordekaiser, who are both.
Yeah, and this Ziggs or Jax just unchecked for even a minute in a side lane can just be devastating to your turrets and just your map in general. And with how much gold tier 2s give, it's effectively like 3 to 4 kills of gold solo on an individual. It's quite terrifying to see.
Oh, and Jax is just going to get this tower, and likely Mordekaiser right after. Nobody is near Mordekaiser to help him. Rakan and Kane are potentially coming up to Shadow, but it just doesn't seem.
Ooh,
like
we do
it'll
see
be
Rakan
enough.
come in time. The charm does come out, the knock up, they live, but I think Kane's gonna get the shutdown.
I'm a little
gets hit
worried
by the
Jax is
stun.
going to get 2 here. Wow, that's a pretty big shutdown. Another one going on to Kane. He's gotten a couple here in the last few minutes. He might be able to get a little big here and stand in front of the Zeri long enough for her to get those max stacks, but just an incredible
Ooh, that
trap
was a
here.
good Irelia R snipe
Yeah,
on
an
the Zed
incredible
there,
trap
and we'll see
here
the
set by Irelia.
Deathmark come out to try to stall, but just completely being different.
Waiting in the
side.
bush, baiting Zed in. That was really well played. Aurelia is playing this game very aggressively and not making any mistakes, and as long as they can keep that up, it definitely seems like it's going to be tough for the Zed to ever get back into this. And this is what I was talking about in the mid game. Where is Zed supposed to go? Oh, but another big engage here.
I will say, with the engage going in, Kane's in the middle of it. He is a bit of gold, so he gets a lot of shielding from this Eclipse. He gets the R off on the Ziggs,
Oh,
times out the
inside.
Ignite, gets the health. That's going to be a triple Q. Ooh, that's a really strong fight coming
this
out.
is huge
This is
for
showing the
Ganks.
shutdowns Kane got, making him so strong. I think they
Aurelia's not
underestimated
here.
it.
Jax isn't here. Oh, Jax is going in for the 1v4 with a TP coming in from Mordekaiser. I wonder if Aurelia can get the stop here.
Zed may fall again, but we do see Mordekaiser in the area. He can get some damage out on the Jax. Jax will full stack get the tempo.
Wow.
But we may see that he might be able to get some re-engage from the Kane if Kane can get a snipe on this Jax. We do see the W come out. Jax is kind of low, but so is the entirety of No Ganks bot lane.
No, that was a really great fight for them. I mean, they found an incredible engage and played that really well. They found an opportunity where Aurelia wasn't there. Jax was coming back in from base, and they just saw an opportunity and took it. And when you're really behind and you're bleeding out, that can be tough to do.
Yeah, no, something they had to scrap for, and I do think they sadly did lose a little more than they gained because they really did get a full tier 2 during that fight. So I think the gold kind of equals out a little bit in the brothers' favor. But it is, it might buy a little more time than they would have had otherwise because they do, prevent Repair from going to the brothers. They don't get it quite themselves because they didn't have the ability to, take it with Jax still in the area. But it definitely gives them a little more time, maybe more time to get Zeri. The closer she gets to second item, the lot stronger she'll be, and Kane as well, if he can start getting maybe some pen, maybe some more durability so he can stay in these fights longer. He has a lot of ability to, tank these frontliners with how much he heals from his Q and W, and there's no anti-heal really picked up quite yet by brothers. So he does have some options to play around this.
Aurelia just again, anytime she sees Zed, she just immediately can check him and get him out of the lane. Even Rakan was there with a nice shadow just in case something went bad there. Jax is hunting now for a Mordekaiser. It looks like he will be able to find that with the closest people.
You see the grand entrance on the Aurelia. She is CC'd out. She does have her Qs though. She has her stun still up, but she does fall to the Zeri. That is a good shutdown to the carry. We will see the Alistar and the Jax all collapsing Mordekaiser bot lane.
Oh,
But also
Mordekaiser
should
lived
be...
a long time there, but almost.
Ooh. Wait, this might be a really big play.
Oh,
Kane gets the Jax with
Kane.
the RQ.
Can Alistar and Sejuani actually stop a red Kane here? Do
I don't
have
believe
the
they can.
damage?
They don't
I
have the
think
damage
so.
to out-heal him. They don't have the anti-heal either. Like, he's just going to use them as just the reset for his health bar.
Unfortunately, that T1 is down, or Kane could have chased that all the way. I mean, I really think he could have gotten another one there, but just kind of that lack of any towers being taken by No Ganks bot lane is really starting to hurt them. They haven't opened up the map at all, so there's just a lot less opportunity for them to take some of these fights.
Yeah, and it just really shows too, because like Kane has all the AoE. Like if he's fighting with his melee champs, he's hitting them all, and once he gets the damage dealers out of the party, like the tanks just are kind of awkwardly there. Like, wait, we can't kill this guy. He's got Black Cleaver Eclipse. Like he's doing our max health damage, and he's just shredding us for everything.
Yeah, and a lot of that play came out from just Mordekaiser living an extremely long time in the 1v1 versus Jax, so that was really impressive to see. Honestly, would have expected Mordekaiser to die much faster and the Kane not to be able to get it there in time, so that was pretty impressive.
I feel like you get a lot of value from resistances in this game too, because like most of the melee champs have a little bit of magic damage, but then are like AD heavy. So if you get that kind of tankiness, like the MR reduction will just play a big part. Ziggs will stop doing damage, and then you just have that armor later on too. Like that's why Mordekaiser lives so long. He just has the plated bramble. Jax still takes a bit to cut through that even with 2 items. So he can just stall for that time. That shield gives him a second health bar effectively, and the tanks don't do much to it outside of CC him, but he does a lot of damage, even through CC.
And another good match of the 1v1 from Mordekaiser. Even though he's 0-6, he actually is a little bit better. I mean, he's just not dying every time Jax sees him. So when you're really behind top lane, that kind of feels like a win.
You weak side top, if your team's starting to get some things, that's all you care about, really.
Exactly, and really we're just trying to stall for the Zeri to get online. It does look like they've done a good job slowing the game down in the last little bit here.
We'll see some pressure just for those Rift objectives. You know, they're going to handshake it, try to get some engages on this Jax. So Uzumaki gets CC'd by the Rakan. Rakan is running a little ahead. I feel like he should be running a little behind, to be honest, so that Jax doesn't have a jump out. But they are collapsed. They do get the knock up there. All 4 on them. I don't think Jax can get anyone in this scenario. We see the Rakan miss the W, but Zeri should be able to run away just barely, and we get another kill onto the Canes, 6-1.
Pretty close, actually, on the kill. In a 4v1, Jax was pretty close to getting that Zeri. Very impressive from Uzumaki. Just a little bit of a shame that Baron was not available yet. If that play had happened just a minute later, it likely would have resulted in a Baron for Brothers. So, but Kane here looks like he is in a little bit of danger.
Yeah, he kind of went a little early before his team was able to show up, and I think he just felt like he was strong enough to, you know, start taking this front line. But I don't think he was able to get that grab onto the Ziggs, which was the biggest problem with that. Because I think he wanted to get on the Ziggs, get an R, get that damage off so that he could just run down the tanks afterwards, but wasn't able to get quite that grab.
Because Rakan looking to jump in, but this should be just a quick poke.
Oh, actually a lot of damage out in the Alistar before he pops Soul. I don't think he was expecting that damage, and I don't think we were either.
An incredible re-engage though by Aurelia. Really incredible ulti.
Yeah, it's
that
a
is
triple in
be
the
tough,
mid-turret.
and if Jax can just run this down, he gets help from the tower shot. That is a clean 5-for-0 ace from Brothers, and No Ganks Botlane was starting to look like they might actually bring this back. That was a kind of impressive round there from Brothers, who have been in a commanding spot this whole game, but another little engage here. Kane just going in a little bit early again. I mean, they were all low, but that was a 1v4 engage.
Yeah, it was 1v4 engage. Maybe could have sniped it. Maybe it was going for the clip, but they just had too much CC. Wasn't able to get the lockdown and get the abilities off they needed to get to pick out the Aurelia or the Ziggs. I think that's just a free 20-minute Baron handed over to them.
It's a tough call there from the Kane, because if you don't go in, you know the enemy team is likely going to be getting the dragon either, but I personally would have liked to see them try to stay alive and maybe go for the steal on Baron. I think that's a little bit of a better play than to try to go for a 1v4 that you maybe can kill everyone. They are low, but if you just get CC chained like you did there, it doesn't look so great. So I just think it maybe was a, you know, sometimes you're bleeding out and you feel like you got to do something, and I think he might have been feeling like he had to make a move there that maybe he didn't need to.
Definitely just kind of showing some of the weaknesses of the comp, just because that snowball threat, it's really hard to shut down for No Ganks Botlane. Even though we see the Kane getting what he did, it's still just a lot to deal with because you're waiting so long for so much of your team to come online, and you just buying the time is really difficult, and you feel like you need to make something happen in this game because you feel like you're just going to lose if you don't.
Brother sees that open inhibitor, and they are. The Brothers see that open inhibitor here, and looks like they're sending at least 4 for that. Aurelia is going to go match Mordekaiser in the bot lane. Almost looked like they wanted to do a classic NA ram there for a minute, but they're going to go split with the Aurelia, who looks pretty tough to match.
The siege could look like the end of the game if it keeps going, if they're not able to stop anything and get some picks out.
I mean, how does this No Ganks bot lane stop the siege from a Ziggs? I mean, I really don't think they have a ton of options other than maybe getting like a Zed or a Mord flank. This is going to be really tough for them to deal with. I mean, how are they going to deal with these baroned up minions with a Ziggs standing right on top of them?
Yeah, they just have to kind of punish a bad engage by Brothers.
And Brothers doing the smart thing. They're putting Jax mid, is just going to demand some attention. It's just going to open up a little bit of an opportunity for the bot lane shove here. Feels like they're itching to pull the trigger, though. I'll start getting a little bit of a pull in there, but not too bad on the damage. Still has his ulti, so it should be alright to take an engage. I think they're just waiting for the tower to be a little bit lower.
Yeah, it should be very close to execute on the Ziggs so he can get that last back off, and he'll be able to go and grab it.
Saw it for the moment. Ziggs is out of range, but I do believe he has. Yep, and that is just tough. I mean, you get sieged in by a Ziggs, and then he just takes the tower right out from under you.
Ooh, this might be actually a pick on the Jax. I think Jax went a little too hard for that Zeri and was able to pick out. Maybe that's just the prevent. They're not able to siege off that quite so easily now because they know they lost the Jax in the split. They're 4v5, and they're not confident in being able to end it out. So they're going to go and grab the dragon instead and play a little safer. You know, we're in finals. We don't have to be too aggressive to end the game.
Yeah, definitely is going to be really tough that with 2 inhibs down and the team is just in such a rough spot. It feels like they just are kind of missing some answers to some of the picks that Brothers picked here, and I just don't know if Brothers just 4-man stop and sends one in a different lane or even 5-man stop. It just seems like it's going to be a really hard thing for No Ganks to stop. Now I do see we have a pause here. They did say BRB bio, and I did see two people run past us and then fly back. So I think this will be a pretty short pause. Looks like
I mean, with the delay, it might actually be like a full 2 minutes, so we might be here for a little bit.
Might be here for a little bit. I mean, if you were on the No Ganks bot lane team, what are you trying to do from this position? Is there really anything they can look for, or is it just start thinking about next draft?
It might be a little bit. I mean, like they can again like try to like bait out a bad punch, maybe like send Rakan or Zeri a little farther up than would be expecting to kind of get a collapse on one of their engaged like Jax or really maybe pick them out. Because once one of them are down, I think it's a lot harder for brothers to execute in this end game. And they also have a little bit of time to work with because, you know, Baron's not up for 3 minutes. There's no Baron waves with these siege minions, so they have a bit of time to just collect these waves. They're always going to be pushing towards them.
That's a good point.
And, you know, maybe they can stall for enough time to have just enough items to take a fight that maybe brothers execute a little poorly on. They're able to capitalize on it and get it out. Because if Kayn and Zeri can, you know, get on who they want to and they're able to pick the Ziggs and the Irelia, then I think they can start to just run down this fight.
Yeah, I feel like hoping for some sloppiness from Brothers this game is probably the best they can do, but Brothers, I would say, has been playing pretty clean. I mean, we have seen some a Jax death here or there in a 1v4, but it was always something that they were able to get you know, something else back on the other side of the map, or Irelia has taken probably 25 tower shots this game, but most of the time she got a kill.
She heals it right back to you.
Yeah, so I
she
think
got a Vampire accepted, so she's basically full build.
Yeah,
so.
it's just tough on the No Ganks bot lane side. I think there's some picks that I might recommend or like to see that they maybe swap out this Zed, or at the very least don't first pick it. I think that was a really incredibly
I think the Zed first pick kind of made it because Brothers just capitalized on like, all right, let's pick nothing that Zed can pick out.
Yeah, that is definitely something that if they are going to use that again, I don't think the Zed played it bad or anything, but just seems like put himself in a tough position by first picking that, and I wonder if they were worried Brothers was going to pick it. I don't think any of them play Zed, so it just seemed like maybe they could have held that a little bit longer, but not sure. It would be interesting maybe if we could talk to him after for an interview. I'm just curious.
It's definitely something that's hard to draft first, I feel, because it just kind of locks in a hard identity, because Zed really doesn't do much besides be a pick champion, so it's a little awkward. And also, well, as you're picking him early, is you're giving them the ability to make it not a counter pick, and you kind of want Zed to have the ability to roam whenever you have him, but being jailed and just dove by an Irelia and repeat makes it really hard to just do anything.
Yeah, Brothers did a really great job early with the Sejuani and even the Alistar roam on mid lane to just really help those lanes and just play weak side Ziggs. I think that was really smart. They just knew that Ziggs is a pretty safe champion even into Rakan and Zeri, but once Rakan leaves too, Zeri has no kill pressure. And at that point, Zeri can just get poked all lane by Ziggs, and Alistar can help his solo laners get fed.
Yeah, I think with how the draft went and how long they kept ADC, I think they really should have just drafted to like something to top lanes like that. Once you see that Jax, Sejuani are really like, okay, that's a really strong top side. We need to just full capitalize in this lane. Like, hey, like they have 3 really beefy bruisers. We need something that can just tear through this really quickly. Yeah. And I don't know if Zeri is quite the answer. I never felt like she was the best tank buster. But like I don't know, maybe something like a Jinx could have been a good answer, because if you play this peel back with the Jinx, if you are able to punish this engage from like an Irelia or Jax, get that reset, then it becomes really hard for the enemy team to execute because you just have so much lockdown. You could also maybe have ran ADCs. Kog'Maw honestly probably could have been.
Last time,
Cog Lulu probably would have been insane here if they were able to get something like that.
I don't know, Cog Lulu into the Ziggs Alistar have been crazy with the CC. I mean, just you get the knockup from Alistar and then bounce back the Kog'Maw with the Ziggsy. That seems like Kog'Maw would be in a little bit of a tough spot.
Well, it's really hard because if you don't you have to step up for Alistar to get that bounce back. And if you see Alistar going in, you can just immediately go for a polymorph so you can get full combo on your Kog'Maw. And then it kind of ends up being like they're giving you a disengage with that knockback. And then Kog'Maw can just kind of damage check these people because he can get his 3 items, get something tanky, and then just start, basically standing still and just pressing attack and just start to melt through this entire front line.
That's true.
As well as you just peel back into this Kayn, into this Mordekaiser, who are kind of yanking them back the whole time. Because you have to kill this Kog'Maw first, but when you on it too, you just have such a hard time.
It'll be interesting to see kind of how they adjust to this game. I think there's a lot of Really these teams probably haven't played very much. They played one game today, but that might have been the first game these two teams have ever played against each other. So just with a little bit more info, it'll be interesting to see how they adjust, because I really think Homsay Young played an incredible game of Yon earlier today.
Yeah, I feel like they might just. I think this draft's gonna look completely different next game. I don't think we're gonna see most things different. We might see something that can fight a lot more in the top lane. We might see, maybe a different approach to the bot lane. Maybe just a different way to, approach this. Maybe just the Zeds held a bit longer, options like that. Because they're showing that they are willing to early pick the Zeds. That also gives some intel to brothers of like, hey, like we gotta be mindful that like if we give an angle for a Zed, they're going to pick Zed. And if they may even want to consider banning that. Because while this is a really good draft for it, there is some confidence in the Zed that maybe in a more favorable matchup he might be.
Yeah, seems like they would also maybe want to play a little bit more strong side top on the no gang side, just with the way Uzumaki has been playing on Jax. He's playing incredibly well, and Sejuani's up there helping him, so it just seems like maybe the playing around top could be a good way to counteract that. Or they could just throw their top laner to the dust. A lot of times, weak side top, ends up working out.
Yeah,
later
I do think there's a lot of scraps that
area.
happen mid and top river of the game, and with just this draft, they don't have a comp that can really do that. Base Kane and Zed in this losing matchups is really hard to execute on, and same with Mord after getting those early picks on him. It's like you just have to write off the top side of the map at that point.
Yeah, that's pretty tough to do, and like you said, you write off the top side of the map, and then you give 6 Voidlings to Ziggs over there, and that is pretty tough to deal with. But there's really not another option if you.
They got the 6 Voidlings anyway.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's just tough. Doesn't leave them a lot of options, having to give up the top side and the mid with how both of those solo lanes went. I really wouldn't be surprised to see an Aurelia, a Jax, and probably keep the Riven ban and try to play a little bit more of a team fight based game than letting brothers play into the incredible solo laners that they have.
And it definitely just showing that they're just able to do this in the skirmishes. This was a very long pause.
Honestly, a lot longer than I thought. They people ran past us and ran back pretty quick.
I'm curious if we're going to get the same amount of time on the freeze as well that normally happens after, if they've actually fixed that.
Oh, I really hope
we are
they
seeing
do.
the full pause timer, so. Quite unfortunate, to be honest.
Yeah, I really hope this pause goes through a lot quicker than last time. Last event, we had some similar troubles just with the spectating, and it was.
Well, as long as the number's
client
moving,
side.
we're in a good spot.
That is true. At least we have that going for us.
We've seen worse happen before.
Yeah, this is nothing over here at Lakewood League. It's really cool to see Ketchy in the chat supporting the brothers. Just being a part of the community. It's really cool to see everybody, cheering for their friends and their teams, and people, even though they weren't able to make it, are still able to just, come by and cheer for their friends who were able to play today.
Yeah, I think as far as I'm aware, we're the only Colorado league there is, so.
There you go. It's definitely nice to have the title of the biggest league tournament in Colorado, and it doesn't hurt that there's no other ones around. So
it wasn't the hardest title to grab.
Yeah,
but
it wasn't the hardest, but
title you have nonetheless.
Exactly, but it's a nice title.
We'd encourage people to try to fight for it, because hey, more scenes, I wouldn't complain.
Yes, exactly. Wouldn't hurt to have more people. I think CU is doing intramural tournaments that they have just started up there. I believe Faster is doing those, and those seem to be really popular. And it's cool to just see, esports be popular across Colorado and across, Chassa and CLOL and other people just out here, running tournaments. So it's really exciting.
If anyone
to see.
wants to give me a small grant of $500,000, I'll set up something in the Springs.
There you go. Anybody, if you guys have a small grant of $500,000 you want to give to Zoko, his emails are open.
Not more, it's better.
All right, we're back in it. Still looks like the top side 4 or 5 man would be a great idea from the brothers. It looks like they're going to be sending Jax bot lane and potentially going 4 top.
And these laners would have a whole 5 minutes to deliberate on how they want to end out this game.
That's true. That is true.
We should see a little more concise decision making in the later game. Otherwise, that pause is not effectively used. I don't think we had any rule against them using these pauses to strategize. So.
I think that's a little bit against the the spirit of the event, but I don't think we have any issues with that. I think they just
they can do, but people tend to honor it somewhat well, and they won't talk about too much. So.
Yeah, I think everybody is really just great to have around, and really have a lot of support from the community, and understand that this is a for fun thing, and although it is a tournament, it's just about getting out and playing the game that we all really love to play. So it's cool to see, and it's just nice that everyone has respect for each other.
You see the 3 items in this area though, and she has gotten that like buff. They buff those crit items. We see Rakan struggling to get out here.
Yeah, definitely.
He does get them out, but really does chase with the R, but she goes in a little bit deep. I think her W bails her out of a lot of damage she's taken. Alistair does get the knock up on 4 of them, but not much capitalization can be done on that. Ooh, we do see some damage going back onto Ziggs.
Wow,
Kane does get the pick on Ziggs. That is actually huge. Is that a lot of
Kane's looking huge here.
Ooh, the Irelia also down. Oh wait, that's actually a full team wipe.
Oh my gosh, but Jax is going deep in the base. Are they able to keep the dream alive here?
Jax was looking for the pick on the Zeri, and he is taking turret shots still, and he's just not able to secure much. It might be able to get out, but that is,
like
Zed finally got some participation. He's got 2 kills in.
Also, that was a great ult by Mordekaiser there. Just, my life for Ire. He took the Irelia out of the fight and did a pretty good job of just 1v1ing the Irelia in the Death Realm there. Did have to flash the wall and unfortunately still died, but...
It's softened her up quite a bit for Kane to get that pick off, and once Ziggs and Irelia are down, they really have not much to fight with.
I wonder if there's actually a world that the Red Kane just can kill them if the Jax and Irelia just aren't there, or both. I think really both need to be on the Kane with some CC, but if Kane can get these longer fights and just lifesteal through, it seems like the damage on Kane might actually not be enough to kill him and win this fight.
Yeah, definitely. I think if once he finishes that stairs, it's gonna be really hard to get this Kane out quick enough to be able to survive, especially with Zeri now getting 2 or 3 items and just being able to poke out. Rakan adding a bit to that CC, and Zed now just slowing everyone Sorel does when they get below half health. It's starting to add a bit more and more, and Mordekaiser's still he's perma slow on his allies, and he's just tanky enough not to go down in 2 seconds.
Rakan got Mikhail's too, so going on that Zeri is going to get harder and harder to do.
The posturing as the Baron is coming up in 15 seconds, and it's definitely something looking for. We don't have Soul quite spawned yet.
It's going to be tough to deal with this Jax though and the Baron at the same time. They really would like to try to get the pick on it before the Baron starts, but if this takes too long, they might all be bot lane when the Baron starts and just give it over to Brothers for free. So hopefully it looks like they're going on the...
Ooh,
wow,
Kane just
the
gets
Kane
deleted.
gets deleted. They went on the Kane right as No Ganks is going on Jax. This is not a trade that No Ganks is going to want. Yes, they're going to get a kill here likely, but they're giving away the Baron for free. That seems like it's going to be really tough to deal with their team comp. They don't have a great wave player to deal with. Baroned up minions with the Ziggs standing behind them.
So the question is if they think they can send Irelia by herself in the split, because they do not have the buff on Jax, and Jax has been kind of their splitter what they've been doing a 4-1 with.
That is true.
So they won't be able to buff waves with Jax anymore. The inhibitors are coming back, so it'll be a lot harder to get that split pressure with this Baron, but it does also let them kind of, I think, free secure this Cloud Drake, which will be a lot easier for them to get around the map with the boost that they will be granted, as well as just the speed boost they get on Jax and Irelia when they cast that R. As well as Alistar, just full damage reduction, running around at 40% bonus move speed. What do you do to that, Cal?
Yeah, he's been doing a great job. Frankie is a great player and has a lot of really amazing things for his team across not just this tournament, but in the past too. He's really a solid, consistent player and not afraid to put his chin in there for his team.
Nothing can be appreciated more than a consistent player. People are like, oh, I gotta get the 20 kill clip montage. It's really the one that's just 0 to 2 deaths every game is honestly pretty reliable teammate you'd always want to have.
And for the amount of engaging he's done this game, he has only 1 death on the Alistar. It is pretty impressive. Are seeing the 4-1 like you mentioned. Jax is looking to go fight Mordekaiser, but the fight is breaking out here.
Can use the R to stall and get some health back. Okay, popping her R and Ghost, trying to get him, but is grabbed by the Alistar, but does get shielding, just stayed a little bit. There he is, Mordekaiser on the backline, but just doesn't do damage. That's all the carries down. And we're just going to get slowly 1v1 by this Irelia.
Man. It honestly seemed like Kane had a decent engage there. It looked okay, like they might be able to get another one of those long fights where he was able to, bring it back for his team, but he just got CC'd by the Sejuani, and Irelia was right there to ensure he didn't get out of that CC, so pretty impressive game from Brothers. I think they played an incredibly aggressive game, and that would catch me off guard, to get into a game with a Jax and Irelia who are just ready to put their foot on the gas the entire game and not let up. It's a pretty impressive showing.
Yeah, No Ganks Botlane definitely, showed that they were going to go down without a bit of a fight, and they did give a little bit of a pushback there, but I definitely think that draft just, with how the snowball went in the early game, it just was too explosive too early, and they weren't able to quite get the footing they wanted for this game.
It was close. I mean, Kane, honestly, with a couple more kills or a little bit different, comp or engage, I think really could have spelled some trouble there for Brothers, but just like you said, it just was a little bit too far gone by the point that Kane had gotten his items and gotten those shutdowns, so Didn't get to see the Zeri scale like we were hoping either. I think Zeri didn't really get to play as much this game. It really just felt like it was all about the solo laners in the jungle, just topside.
Yeah, I think once she got to that 4th item, she might have started to actually like melt through people, because I think an LDR would have been that, you know, damage amp, and that pen would have cut through that 35% or 35. I know they buffed it, but I think it's 35, as well as just the Giant Slayer. Everyone has more health than her in this game, so she would get a lot of value out of it, but she just wasn't able to get the economy she quite wanted. Well. But she had almost 300 CS that game.
296 CS at 29 minutes. I mean, Zeri was doing their best they could to get strong as quickly as they can, but just didn't turn out. All right, we're just going to wait here. They're going to be getting into the second game, getting that draft ready, so we're just going to pause for a minute while they get prepared, and we will jump into the draft for game 2.